Admitted to committing the brutal crime, there is renewed debate over their sentence. Both Lyle and Erik are serving life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Between when I first started firing, when I ended, it's just a red blank to me.
You have the right to have your arraignment within 48 hours of your arrest, your preliminary hearing within 10 days of your arraignment and plea.
Welcome to Deep Crime Unveiled, where we uncover the most captivating and thought-provoking true crime stories. Today, we dive into one of the most shocking and controversial cases in American history, the Menendez brothers. In 1989, Erik and Lyle Menendez committed a crime that would forever change the narrative of family dynamics, abuse, and justice.
There is renewed debate over their sentence. Both Lyle and Erik are serving life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Was this a tale of cold-blooded murder for wealth, or a desperate act of survival against a lifetime of torment? Under the cover of night, a tragedy unfolded that shocked the nation and reverberated through the halls of justice for decades to come.
I have got to think that it was their attorney's ideas that if your only way you're going to save your ass is to say that you were molested, and that's what they did.
This is the story of the Menendez brothers, Erik and Lyle, whose lives took a dark turn when they brutally murdered their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez.
Lyle Menendez testified that after a lifetime of abuse, they believed their parents, Jose and Kitty.
The motivations behind this horrific act have been the subject of intense scrutiny and debate, raising profound questions about the nature of familial relationships, the consequences of abuse, and the pursuit of justice in a complex world. As we delve into the graphic details of the case, examine the intricacies of their upbringing, and address the unanswered questions, we will uncover the layers of complexity that led to this chilling event and explore its far-reaching consequences. This case is not just about brutal murders. It reflects a tragic narrative that intertwines love, betrayal, trauma, and the quest for redemption.
He proceeded to indicate to me by touching himself down.
Stay tuned as we reveal the truth behind the headlines and the legacy of a case that captivated a nation. The Menendez family background. At first glance, the Menendez family seemed to represent the American dream. Jose Menendez was a successful entertainment executive known for his work in the film industry, while Mary was a caring mother who played an active role in her sons' lives. They provided Erik and Lyle with a life of privilege, living in a large home in Beverly Hills, attending private schools, and enjoying the best that money could buy. However, beneath this shiny surface lay a troubled and deeply dysfunctional family dynamic.
I have to say, keep it. There's, it's just not really entirely accurate. I didn't have a California ID, so there was no way to purchase a weapon other than my brother using this other kid's ID.
Erik and Lyle, despite doing well in school and excelling in sports, faced immense pressure from their parents' high expectations. Jose was known for his quick temper and controlling nature, which created an atmosphere of fear and insecurity in their home. Rather than feeling supported, Erik and Lyle often felt suffocated by their father's demands and harsh discipline. This oppressive environment affected their mental and emotional well-being. The brothers experienced emotional abuse that left them feeling worthless and anxious. There were also instances of physical punishment, which only deepened the psychological scars they carried. The complicated mix of love, fear, and resentment created a tense atmosphere within the family. Mary, while loving and devoted, often remained passive in the face of Jose's strictness, leaving Erik and Lyle feeling isolated and misunderstood. Their inability to live up to their parents' expectations caused them to feel inadequate. This emotional turmoil affected their relationship with each other and shaped their views on family and loyalty. As Erik and Lyle grew older, the pressures they faced began to take a toll. Their experiences of both love and fear created a complex web of emotions that influenced their actions and decisions. The combination of wanting to please their parents and feeling trapped in a difficult situation set the stage for the tragic events that would follow.
There is renewed debate over their sentence. Both Lyle and Erik are serving life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Ultimately, the Menendez family, despite its outward appearance of success, was marked by deep-seated issues that would have devastating consequences. Understanding this family background is essential to grasping the complexities of the case and the tragic choices made by Erik and Lyle Menendez. The night of the murders. On the tragic night of August 20th, 1989, everything changed for the Menendez family forever. Erik and Lyle, filled with years of hidden anger and desperation, made the shocking choice to end their parents' lives. Armed with shotguns, the brothers entered their parents' bedroom and unleashed a storm of bullets, killing Jose and Mary in a horrifying act of violence that no one could have predicted.
Were you on the same floor of the house?
No.
Where were you when, to the best of your knowledge, your brother was calling the police?
I believe I was in the den. I mean, I don't know exactly at what point he was on the phone with the police. I assume when he went upstairs.
After the murders, the brothers fled the scene, trying to create an alibi for themselves. They went to see a movie, appearing calm and collected as if nothing had happened. When they returned home, they called the police, claiming to be distraught sons who had just discovered the crime. Their actions confused many, as the brutality of the murders contrasted sharply with their seemingly composed behavior. The shocking nature of the killings sent shockwaves through their community and far beyond. Investigators arrived at the scene to find a gruesome sight, one that suggested this was not just a spontaneous act of rage, but rather a calculated execution. The police quickly began piecing together the timeline of events, and as they dug deeper, they realized that the brothers' story didn't add up. The brutality of the murders and the brothers' calm demeanor created a chilling atmosphere, captivating the public's attention.
Beverly Hills emergency?
Yes, police.
What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Pardon me?
Someone killed my parents.
What? Who?
As news spread, the case became a national sensation, drawing in viewers who were eager to learn more about the family's background and the reasons behind such horrific actions. This shocking event set off a chain reaction that would lead to a high-profile investigation. As the police and media explored the complex dynamics within the Menendez family, many began to question how such a tragedy could occur in what appeared to be a successful household. The case forced people to confront difficult questions about family relationships, the impact of abuse, and the nature of justice. The night of the murders marked the beginning of a story that would unravel deep-seated issues and prompt intense discussions about morality and accountability. It was a tragic turning point, not just for the Menendez family, but for society, as the complexities of their lives came into sharp focus. The investigation begins. In the immediate aftermath of the tragic murders, investigators found themselves facing a complex and challenging puzzle. At first, the investigation took many twists and turns, with detectives exploring various theories and potential suspects. The initial confusion was understandable. A crime of this nature often brings out multiple angles and possibilities. However, as the investigation unfolded, all eyes began to turn toward Erik and Lyle, the two brothers at the center of the case. Their behavior in the days following the tragedy raised several red flags for the detectives. Instead of showing the expected signs of deep grief and mourning after such a devastating event, the brothers were seen making extravagant purchases.
Investing in businesses, they acted like they had won the lottery.
They bought luxury cars and high-end electronics, which seemed completely out of place considering the horrific loss they had just experienced. This striking contrast between their claims of devastation and their lavish spending caught the attention of the investigators, who started to look more closely at their actions. As the police dug deeper into the case, they uncovered critical evidence suggesting that Erik and Lyle had been planning the murders for weeks, if not months. Witness testimonies and financial records began to paint a troubling picture, revealing a pattern of premeditated behavior that contradicted the brothers' claims of acting in a moment of impulsive violence.
It was very, very painful.
Instead of two grieving sons trying to cope with an unimaginable tragedy, the evidence suggested something far more sinister. Detectives found that the brothers had engaged in discussions about their plans well before the actual event. This kind of planning indicated that they were not just victims of circumstance, but rather individuals caught up in a web of deceit and calculated decisions. A shocking reality began to emerge. Erik and Lyle were not merely innocent bystanders in a tragic story. They were, in fact, central figures in a deeply troubling narrative that involved betrayal and premeditation. The mystery gradually started to come together as the research went on. The detectives worked tirelessly to expose the truth behind the brothers' actions, determined to unravel the mystery that surrounded this tragic case. The road ahead was challenging, but with each piece of evidence collected, the investigation grew stronger, inching closer to revealing the real story behind the murders. The trial as a media sensation. The trial of Erik and Lyle Menendez quickly turned into a media sensation, capturing the attention of millions of people across the country. It became a dramatic courtroom event filled with emotional testimonies, sensational headlines, and strong opinions that divided the public.
And when you did go in, how did it affect you, if at all?
It affected me.
Many were glued to their screens, eager to follow every twist and turn of the case. The prosecution painted a stark picture of the brothers, presenting them as cold-blooded killers motivated purely by greed. They said that to inherit their parents' fortune, Erik and Lyle killed their parents. To support their case, the prosecution highlighted the premeditated nature of the crime, emphasizing how the brothers had carefully planned the murders well in advance. They brought in evidence that showed the brothers had thought through their actions, reinforcing the idea that this was not a crime of passion but a calculated act. However, the defense adopted a completely different strategy. Erik and Lyle were depicted as victims who had endured maltreatment their entire lives. Their argument centered on the idea that the brothers acted out of desperation and fear, trapped in a home filled with violence and manipulation. The defense team worked hard to humanize the brothers, suggesting that they were not heartless killers, but individuals pushed to their breaking point. To strengthen their case, the defense called expert witnesses, including psychologists, who explained the deep psychological impact of the brothers' upbringing. These experts described how a traumatic childhood can shape a person's actions and decisions, offering insight into the mental struggles Erik and Lyle faced. This perspective shifted some of the public sentiment, inviting people to consider the complexities of their situation.
When did you and Erik decide to kill your parents?
We didn't decide to do it. We finally just kind of got overwhelmed with this panic and emotion and made the decision to run in that room.
The outside world's...
As the trial progressed, the nation was captivated by the unfolding drama. Each day brought new revelations and emotional moments in the courtroom, sparking debates about morality, justice, and the complicated nature of familial bonds. The intense media coverage ensured that every development was broadcasted, allowing the public to engage with the case like never before. Discussions about the trial took place in homes, schools, and workplaces, with people weighing in on whether the brothers were guilty of murder or victims of their past. The trial was not just a legal battle. It was a national conversation that explored deep themes of love, pain, and accountability. Claims of abuse. A key part of the defense's case was the claim that Erik and Lyle had suffered years of physical and emotional abuse from their parents. This assertion was crucial for the defense as they aimed to paint a picture of the brothers as victims rather than cold-blooded killers. To support their argument, the defense brought in testimonies from psychologists who had studied the brothers and from family friends who had witnessed the troubling dynamics within the Menendez household. These testimonies helped illustrate the intense fear and manipulation that Erik and Lyle experienced while growing up. In court, Erik and Lyle shared their own stories, recounting moments filled with fear, pain, and a sense of hopelessness.
I just started crying a lot harder. At one point I started to scream. It was awful, and I couldn't handle what I was seeing.
They painted a vivid picture of a home environment that was anything but nurturing or loving. Instead of feeling safe and cared for, they described a life marked by chaos and emotional turmoil. Their accounts were powerful and emotional, making it clear that they had endured a lot during their childhood. The claims of abuse were further supported by childhood friends who came forward to describe the volatile atmosphere within the Menendez family. They spoke of outbursts and conflicts, highlighting how the family often seemed to be in crisis. This added weight to the defense's argument that Erik and Lyle were shaped by their difficult upbringing, reinforcing the idea that their actions could not be viewed in isolation. The courtroom became a battleground for two very different stories. The prosecution focused on presenting the brothers as calculating murderers, while the defense fought to evoke sympathy for their situation. As the defense explored the brothers' past in greater detail, they emphasized the emotional toll that living in such an abusive environment had taken on Erik and Lyle. This line of argument raised important questions about accountability and the long-lasting effects of trauma. The portrayal of the brothers as victims complicated the public's understanding of their actions. Many began to reconsider the nature of violence within families, realizing that it could stem from deeply rooted issues. The trial prompted discussions about how experiences of abuse can affect a person's mental health and decision-making. As the narrative of abuse unfolded, it challenged traditional views on guilt and responsibility, inviting people to think more deeply about the complexities of human behavior and the impact of family dynamics. Verdict and sentencing. After a long and highly publicized trial, the jury finally reached a decision. On April 2, 1996, both Erik and Lyle Menendez were found guilty of first-degree murder. This verdict sent shockwaves not only through the courtroom, but also across the entire nation. The case had drawn significant attention, and public opinion had been sharply divided throughout the trial. Some people supported the brothers, advocating for understanding of the difficult and abusive upbringing they had endured. Others, however, condemned their actions as unforgivable, believing that no amount of abuse could justify the murders of their parents. When it came time for sentencing, the judge delivered a firm message by imposing life sentences without the possibility of parole.
Erik Menendez, you are charged in count 1 with a violation of Penal Code Section 187A, murder of Jose Menendez, a human being, for financial gain while lying in wait with a firearm. You are further charged in count 2 with a violation of Penal Code Section 187A, murder of a Maria Menendez, a human being.
This meant that Erik and Lyle would spend the rest of their lives in prison, with no chance of ever being released. The gravity of their crimes weighed heavily on the courtroom, as the judge emphasized the seriousness of the situation. Reactions from the audience were mixed. Some felt that justice had been served, believing that the brothers needed to face the consequences of their actions. Others felt sympathy for Erik and Lyle, believing that their claims of abuse should have led to a different outcome. The verdict and sentencing had a profound impact on everyone involved in the case. Erik and Lyle were forced to confront the reality of their actions while living behind bars. Their life sentences marked not just the end of their freedom, but also the beginning of a larger conversation about familial violence. The case brought to light the complexities of justice, especially in situations involving mental health and abuse. It raised important questions about how society views the actions of individuals who have suffered trauma. As the news spread, discussions about the case continued in homes, classrooms, and media outlets. People debated whether the brother deserved sympathy or punishment, and the case became a focal point for conversations about the effects of childhood abuse and the challenges of understanding human behavior. The Menendez case highlighted the need for more awareness and discussion about the intricate issues of family dynamics, mental health, and justice, making it a significant moment in legal history.
What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Public reaction and legacy. The Menendez case sparked widespread debate about domestic abuse and how the legal system handles such situations. It brought important discussions to the forefront about how society views both victims and perpetrators of violence. Many people began to question traditional ideas of justice and accountability. The case highlighted the need for a more nuanced understanding of the factors that can lead individuals to commit violent acts, especially in the context of abusive family environments. In the wake of the trial, advocacy groups began to emerge, focusing on raising awareness about the psychological effects of abuse. They pushed for greater resources and support for victims, emphasizing the importance of mental health services and community programs. The Menendez case served as a catalyst for change, prompting conversations about the significance of addressing trauma within families and the long-term effects it can have on individuals. Public sentiment surrounding the case remained deeply divided. While some people believed that Erik and Lyle should face harsh consequences for their actions, many others advocated for a deeper understanding of the circumstances that might have led the brothers to commit such violent acts. This ongoing debate highlighted the complexities of human behavior and the impact of upbringing on a person's choices. The legacy of the Menendez case has endured over the years, becoming a touchstone in discussions about family dynamics, mental health, and the legal system. It has inspired numerous documentaries, books, and television adaptations, ensuring that its story remains relevant in popular culture. Each new portrayal of the case invites fresh conversations about the issues at play, from the nature of abuse to the responsibilities of individuals within families. The story of the Menendez brothers continues to provoke thought and discussion among people from all walks of life. It serves as a reminder of the complexities of human relationships and the tragic consequences that can arise from unresolved trauma.
Hello, I can't hear you. Hello? Are you still there?
We're the sons of, Jose and Kitty Menendez. No, Erik, go! We just came home. We didn't hear anything.
As society continues to grapple with these difficult topics, the Menendez case remains a powerful example of how one family's struggles can resonate with broader issues affecting countless others. The discussions it ignited have contributed to a greater awareness of the need for compassion and understanding in addressing domestic abuse and mental health challenges. Conclusion. The Menendez case serves as a powerful reminder of the complexities of family dynamics and the painful effects of unresolved trauma. It leaves us facing tough questions about justice, accountability, and whether change is possible. When the line between victim and perpetrator becomes unclear, what should we do? The story of Erik and Lyle Menendez challenges us to think about these issues and their broader impact on society. It pushes us to examine the factors that can lead to violence within families and to advocate for systems that protect those who are vulnerable. The case encourages ongoing discussions about the importance of understanding mental health and the need for support for victims of abuse. As we continue to talk about this case, the legacy of the Menendez brothers remains significant. It forces us to reflect on what familial love truly means, the nature of betrayal, and the serious consequences of remaining silent in the face of abuse. A society that prioritizes compassion, understanding, and justice for all.
This is the case of the people of the state of California versus Erik, Galen Menendez, and Joseph Lyle Menendez. The record will reflect the defendants are present with counsel and people are represented.
Thanks for watching our content. The story of the Menendez brothers challenges us to think deeply about the complexities of family and the impact of trauma. What do you believe about their actions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you find this video insightful, please like it and subscribe for more intriguing discussions on crime and justice. Until next time, stay curious and compassionate.